Hi, I'm Sean Rogers, Vice President of Research for Enterprise Management Associates, and I'm here at the Pacific Northwest BI Summit in Oregon with my friend Rich Giassi. Rich, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Rich is the Vice President of Treasure Data, Vice President of Marketing, and I thought we'd talk about one of the themes that's kind of come out of the last couple of days being here at this summit, and innovation seems to have been a kind of a subtext to almost every conversation, and
It has.
And a lot of it was around big data, because that's certainly the buzziest of buzz phrases right now. But I was surprised that we didn't spend a lot of time talking about cloud, because frankly, I think cloud's somewhat disruptive. I think it's innovative. I'm surprised we didn't spend it didn't come up in as many conversations. I think we got big data centric this week.
I think we did, and kind of the industry has been big data centric for a couple of years, and I do think we're at a crossroads in terms of lots of things that will allow innovation to occur in our space.
Yeah.
And in fact, we've talked about this a year ago, how much fun this market is now because of the innovation. But the cloud, absolutely. I think cloud will become even more disruptive and be a much bigger force as we think about how to take advantage of information and, quote, turn our data into an asset and into value. But I also think that in this past year, with the announcement that Amazon made around Redshift, I think that was transformational in the sense that what Amazon did by coming out with this economic model that was completely different than anything else that had been out prior to that, it treated a catalyst for people to say, I have to now look at this.
Right.
I have to look at what's going on with cloud, and can it work? Because if those economics are anywhere close to being true, then it's going to transform my business.
Yeah. Well, and I think economics is a great driver and part of what makes cloud so disruptive. I think there's two sides of the fence a little bit. There's the business people sort of have their agenda, the IT guys sort of have theirs. What's your take on the difference between both of those drivers towards cloud? Or which, is it economics for both groups? Is it features and so on for one and not so much the other? I mean, how do you see it playing out between the two? They're both decision makers in this process.
Yeah, and I think economics is going to play a role in both cases. But I think I think the business is going to be the leader in this, because I think it'll take longer to figure out how to transition, if you want to think about it that way, to outsource your IT to the cloud.
Right.
I think that's a long-term thing. But in the short term, if you have very specific applications that you want to deploy and want them deployed quickly, not only the economics, but the time to value or the time to transformation of an application can be much shortened significantly with a cloud implementation.
Yeah. Well, and we talk about time to success or time to value quite a bit, and then one of the phrases we've heard a couple of times this weekend has been this time to fail. Fail quickly, fail fast, and that seems to be a catchphrase that's kind of catching on, as it were. But it carries with it sort of a lesson that not everything is successful, and that traditional systems took us a lot of time and money and energy to fail.
Yeah, and I'll refine my answer a little bit. I said business, and I meant business, but I also think it's applications within the business that are new, and those especially that in our space are going to be data-driven or enabled by information. And I think those areas where you don't already have a solution or you can't bolt something on to an existing infrastructure, those are the places where we're going to start to see it kind of race forward. And I think we can look at companies like Salesforce and the marketing automation companies as early indicators of adoption. All that information's in the cloud, and they're a service, and they can turn them on and off. And oh, by the way, it gives them the ability, a business, to fast fail. We've talked about all the innovation that's occurring. Well, that's the number of companies that are now participating in just our market has quadrupled, if not tenfold, right? Given that, these organizations now have to sort all that out. So they don't have the talent in many cases they need. They're calling you constantly trying to figure out, what do I do and how do I do it? And you're answering, well, here in the generic it works, right? But for them, they have to go through all the analysis and pick the right, and in some cases aren't going to make the right decision. So being able to just say, that's somebody else's problem. Let me outsource that to Amazon, and let me just plug into that capability and give me the information that's most important. And now let's take the business analyst and not have to worry about all that connection back to IT, and let them focus on actually producing reports or analytics or information in the form of applications that they can deliver to their customers that are going to be impactful to the bottom line.
Yeah, and you make a good point. You know, that whole plug it into the wall part is about speed to getting the service. And it's also about an expected service fee or a flatter type of style rate. You know, it's a more manageable, you know, I don't worry about my electric bill every day. I think companies would like to be able to not spend so much time worrying about their IT investments. And I think oftentimes cloud allows us to smooth out some of that. And I know that at Treasure Data, you guys address a little of that in some of your offerings. So I know that you have thoughts around that.
Yeah, in our cloud service, it's a fixed rate,
Yeah.
and customers love it.
Right.
Because they know exactly what it's going to cost them for that period of time for that application.
Right.
You don't wait 10 days, 10 years for this plug to go into the wall, right?
Exactly.
That just wouldn't work.
Right.
Well, with the service and with the kinds of things that we're now doing in the cloud, I think it gives you the ability to have that ability to go to market. And we do that at Treasure Data really the same way. We can have something up and running in a matter of days. Major implementations using big data in a cloud environment where somebody's developed an application can be just a matter of days. And by the way, along with that plug, the service is taking care of reliability and scale and security and all those things that you spend years worrying about in-house.
Offloading those things that aren't core to what it is that you're trying to do. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Hey, it was great to catch up with you.
Nice seeing you.
Nice to see you as well.
Take care.
This is Sean Rogers signing off from the Pacific Northwest BI Summit.